Welcome back, everyone. My next guest has been on my show now. This is a few times that I've had him on. I have with me Steve Wolff, and he is the owner of Wolff Management and Investments. Welcome back to the show. Today, we're going to talk about what?
Well, first off, thank you
You're
for having
welcome.
me on your show. We will talk once again, to start out with at least, the construction company I own and the services we provide.
Okay, and isn't that interesting? Because I have to say, I don't do things on purpose. Honestly, I don't. But my first guest here, you know, it was almost like a power partner for you to be able to meet someone like that. Happens all the time in my world. I don't know why that is, but it does. And tell them a little bit about. First, I want to talk about your company because I'm amazed by what you do, and I think everybody should take care of these things. So let's talk about the construction part of what you do and the niche that you have that you work with.
Okay. I have been in the construction industry since I was 18, and given that I am now 64, I have a lot of experience in the construction industry. And what I recognized is that there's a lack of contractors that are willing to take on the smaller projects maybe, and when I say smaller projects, smaller work, and still willing to take on the bigger projects. So what we do as a company is we are a general contractor, and we work for a lot of property management companies and commercial properties, maintaining, repairing their facilities, their properties. And then we have a division that is specifically designed to fix trip hazards in sidewalks and driveways, where we hydraulically pick them up. We can grind them. If it's inside of a house with a wavy floor, we level them out.
It's amazing.
And I found, I went back into business after retirement because my youngest son and my oldest son needed something for life work. And I said, you know what? Let's go start this company again so that when I want to retire, I can just turn it over to them, and now they can retire.
Now, you earlier just said that you work with commercial properties and property management companies, but you do this in both residential and commercial.
Correct. We have a blend of about 50-50 that we normally keep. We will work for a homeowner that wants maybe an office space built into their house, or they want a hole in the wall fixed. They want a window installed. We do that all the time.
So you can do construction work, but I want to say too, what I love that you do, that one area, and the reason why, I'm going to tell the story if you don't mind, okay?
Okay.
On your time. Is that we talked a little bit about leveling floors and how important that is. First of all, it's important for many reasons. The number one reason, a floor, let's say in somebody's home. Let's go for there first. We'll talk about yours first. So, how important is it for floors to be level?
First off, when the house is built, quite often, the developer will be putting carpet into the floor, or on the floor, should I say it that way. And so the concrete company that he may hire recognizes that, and so the level of the floor doesn't have to be there. You walk across a carpeted floor and it has a little bit of a dip, you'll never notice it on carpet. But then if you want to change the flooring to engineered flooring, laminate, any tile, that's got to be level. And so we get hired quite often to come in and level complete floors.
Right.
And right now, thinking about it, I have one where I have to put a layer of what they call gypcrete across about 1,600 feet of flooring. Perfectly level. Come in with the lasers, perfectly level it.
Now, that's important, but I also know that between the floors in the home, or whatever, inside of the facility, I'll say it that way, also your driveway, your parking lots, and the reason why I wanna bring up that story there, why I think it's so important is, and I think I might have told you, it might have been after one of your shows, my stepdaughter was at a movie, and as she came out, she tripped and she was pregnant with her first child, and boom, went right down, like 8 months, 9 months pregnant, scared to death to see what might have happened, right? But she tripped on an uneven, and you know, it was an awful experience. And when you started talking about all that whole experience came back to me, because it was so awful, that then how many people's homes, and they're all of them, I know a lot of homes have uneven driveways, and it happens all the time, how dangerous it is.
Yes, it is, because while your daughter could have been hurt, she was young enough that she might have recovered. But now when you're talking about a 75-year-old
Right.
female, and she trips, she's got a broken hip, and you're liable.
Or God forbid her baby would have been hurt in any
Exactly.
way. I mean, God forbid,
Right.
you know.
So we come in for a client, and as the ADA says, anything more than a vertical height variance of a 1/4 inch, we will come in, that is considered a trip hazard. We will come in and level it, remove it. Now, to remove it, everybody thinks that you've got to immediately replace the concrete, which is not necessarily true. We can come in and either grind it level, or we can hydraulically lift the lower slab back up. We do this all the time.
And so if you're listening right now, and maybe you own an apartment building, maybe you own anywhere that you are, and you know that you've got trip hazards, they're there, and we know we have them, they're all over the place here. And you wanna have them fixed, you can. How many, does it matter how many they have?
No, we have, we had one contract that had 847 trip hazards.
47, 847? Wow.
847, took us 30 days, start to finish.
Wow,
We took care of it for a property.
right, and then, but somebody could have one.
I
It
don't care.
doesn't really matter, because what you're all about is making sure that people are safe.
I want them safe.
That's right. Now, the phone number to call them is 480-600-3584. Your website for them to go on to, Wolff Management and Investments.com.
Yes.
So, and we're gonna talk about the investment part after we come back from a break, cause that's another very interesting part of what you do. Again, you could check them out. When you work, do you work valley-wide?
Oh, absolutely. We have one contract going on currently in Flagstaff.
So anywhere, and it doesn't matter where. And also, of course, I'm talking about this because I do think it's so important, but construction, whatever it is that you might need, from something as small as a hole in the wall
Yes, we'll fix that.
to anything as big as 847
Trip hazards to
trip
replace.
hazards to replace, exactly.
We have all sorts of work.
Now, you could check them out on their website. It is wolfmanagementandinvestments.com. You can also call them direct, and I implore anyone, please call them, especially if you're dealing with some kind of a trip hazard, or if you're having a new floor put in, you gotta make sure that it's level. Of course, carpeting is not as bad, you can't feel that, so it's not, you know, but if you're having a new floor put in, do it right, because they can't do it, and once they start having problems with it, they've already started, and you gotta make sure that somebody comes in and tells you that it is uneven as well. So check them out there. It's 480-600-3584. It's wolfmanagementandinvestments.com.
And you know exactly what I'm talking about. You come into a carpeted floor, there's that duck pond, and
Yeah.
you've got to put in
You gotta redo it.
Well,
Gotta redo it.
we're live on Facebook still, so I wanna continue with that, but when we come back, do you wanna talk about your management investment?
I don't care.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good. You are intrigued. For me, it's just something for my kids to make money.
So we'll just stick with what we're doing right now. And I can throw it in there, it's up to you.
Let's do it. I don't care.
Let's do it.
But yes, what you said about the, the elderly falling and stuff, my goodness,
Yeah.
that's hugely detrimental to their.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you that's a story, and she ended up suing. I don't know how much she got yearly, and I don't think they even cared, honestly.
No.
Honestly.
But the HOAs do care
Oh, yeah.
because it comes right out of their
We're
insurance
gonna
rating.
talk about that one. That's a good thing to talk about.
Oh geez, they need to have those fixed. Some places, some insurance companies require, they'll come out and walk the property, and if they find the trip hazards, they'll flat out tell the HOA, you must do it, or we're not gonna insure you.
Yeah. And
My
we
phone
found
rings.
We found the same thing with, the people that were putting in our tile floors. Well, if they're not paying attention to what they're doing and putting them in level, like my husband measures each one, as we go, so. But we had areas where you'd literally stub your toe, trip, we had the ROC come out and they were like, replace the floor.
That's why when
Right.
you do it yourselfers, I remember I tried to do it myself one time, and it looked perfect, like I had it all set, and then when I went to go lay it down, it wasn't right because the floor was not lot level.
Right.
We don't install the floors, but we'll put a laser down and make that floor perfectly level, or apply it. Now you can do any type of floor.
Exactly.
It gets more pricey when they want it to within a 1/16 of an inch,
Yeah.
but
This
most
guy
floors
from
don't.
the ROC came out with a credit card and went, this is too high, that's too high, that's too
Yeah.
high.
Yep,
More
Yep.
than a credit card. Mhm.
and right now I have a huge one, perfectly level, it's gotta be.
Whatever happened to just plush carpet, and that was just it. Nobody cared.
Shaker.
Shit.
Hides everything.
Welcome back. We're talking with Steve Wolff, and he is the owner of Wolff Management and Investments. And, we've been talking at the break of how important it is to have your floors level. Of course, anything. They can do construction in any area of what you're dealing, both residential and commercial. And at the break, you happened to say to me that it's so important. I was saying to you, well, I was talking to you a little bit more about my daughter and what happened and what she ended up doing, and how the people who she sued, because she could, and she should have, right, didn't care really, right? You said, and I said, well, they just didn't care. You said, well, you said HOAs care.
HOAs absolutely care, because what the HOA has for their common areas is liability insurance. And the company that's underwriting or providing that insurance can come out and demand that all trip hazards be eliminated, or that HOA doesn't have insurance coverage. So it's really incumbent on the properties to make sure there are no trip hazards. So issues like your daughter tripping don't happen.
Right, and especially when we're talking about the elderly, we talked about that, and it happens so often. And when somebody, unfortunately, let's say you have that happen and somebody has to have a hip replacement, or they're older and they fall, that's usually how their end of life comes.
Absolutely.
That's really
Carol.
sad. And so I implore people to, whether you're both residential or commercial, it doesn't matter how many you have. You can have one, you can have 847, it doesn't matter. They will help you. That phone number is 480-600-3584. I have to talk about the other part of your business, because the name of your company is Wolff Management and Investments. So where does the investments come in?
Quite some time ago, I was looking for an investment vehicle that was secure. It isn't a flash in the pan, so that my children could invest in and build it to a point where they could retire. And what I taught, first off, myself and my children, is how to invest in tax lien certificates here in Arizona. So, first off, everybody hears the story where property gets taken away because they didn't pay their taxes. Let's take Maricopa County. The county puts a property tax on every parcel of property, and they need to collect that money. Their money is used for roads and schools and hospitals and just a plethora of different things. Well, what happens if the owner of the property doesn't pay the taxes? The state still needs the money. So the state puts a 16% penalty on that property until the owner pays the property taxes. But that doesn't help the state because the state needs the money. So they open that up to investors, such as myself, that will come in and pay off the property tax lien, and I am granted a certificate that says when the owner pays off the property, I'm entitled to the tax money plus that 16% interest. So when we buy this, the weighted return, we buy a tax lien certificate, the weighted return is about 14.5% for myself. Other people can do it smarter and get a higher return. Obviously, other people can not thoroughly investigate the property, and it doesn't fit their pistol to buy big tax liens, so they're buying the $50, $100 tax liens where I may go out and buy a couple $1,000 one. So their return is less, but it opens up a vehicle for some investor, an individual, to invest and have a guaranteed return on their investment. Currently, the weighted return will give you at 14.5%. You will double your money every 5 years. If you go in with 1,000, you can use that as the geometric progression where you will be when you want to retire. So it's a huge, huge benefit for parents to educate their children on how they can retire, irregardless of their job, irregardless of whatever retirement may or may not be out there, irregardless of Social Security. You've made money, and you've helped the state.
So that's pretty awesome. Is there, first of all, I have to say this, that, and I'm not saying that other people don't love their children. You love your children.
Obviously.
Yes. But you wanted to make sure, but the way you loved them even more so wasn't just, you gotta go to school, get your job or whatever. You wanted to make sure that they could be a business owner, which I think is awesome, being your own boss, your own business owner.
Yes.
And also, I'm not saying that's right for everybody, don't get me wrong, but also that you wanted to help them know what to do when to retire, and so many people don't do that. We don't do that for our own selves, let alone our children, right? How did you find out about this? I mean, how did you get educated on this? Is it very popular?
No.
That's why I wanted to, that's why I asked.
No, and the state doesn't advertise that this could be a vehicle for people to build wealth. I heard about it, and it intrigued me, and so what I did, and first off, this is nationwide, in various programs, all property taxes for every state. The state wants to collect. But here in Arizona, the legislature put the interest rate that is charged and paid at 16%, which is a good return on your money in scary times like we may or may not be in. So I wanted to teach my children how they could go down to the Maricopa County Assessor's Office and buy a tax lien. The information to make a informed decision is on the internet, their office. It'll locate properties. It'll tell you how much the taxes are owed, and you can walk down there and pay those taxes immediately. You can't talk to the owner of the property. You can't harangue them and say, I paid the taxes. I owe you, or I own you, or I own your property. When they pay it off, they pay the state, and then the state pays you.
Now, with your business, this second part of your business, okay, do you help people learn this?
I absolutely share this information with people. Absolutely.
And how do you do that? When they come in, you sit down and you talk to them, and how do you do that?
People will contact me and say that they are interested. And I will identify, to the best of my knowledge, how they can engage this vehicle to make money.
Is it only on homes that you do that with? Or is
No.
it, I had a feeling.
It can be any property here in Arizona. I have found property taxes on a small vacant lot as little as $50, and then I have found some commercial properties where the property taxes are $500,000. So someone can invest in tax lien certificates at whatever level is comfortable for them.
Well, do they really need to know what the property looks like or anything like that? It's just the lien that they're buying, correct?
Absolutely, but some of the liens are on property that doesn't fit their desired investment, because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, I don't want to invest in a tax lien certificate in property in a very remote, rural area that could be landlocked. How can you drive to it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to buy a tax lien certificate here in Maricopa County where the house burned down. I don't want to buy that one, because now I could be responsible to clean it up and everything else. It's
Okay.
a poor investment.
So what's a good one?
A single-family home, where you drive by the house and you can say, looks like those people take care of it. End of discussion. I sometimes, given the property, go to ADEQ, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, and I research, has it been a contaminated site? Have people had a buried gas tank here? So I research the individual properties that fit my business.
It's awesome that you do that. So he has two sides of what he does, right?
Correct.
One of them obviously is the construction side, and whether or not you need just a hole in the wall or you need something bigger, your floor's leveled, he could do that. But the other side of him, which I love that too, I just love that investment side of it, and I'd love to have you talk about it sometime and just talk about that, because it is extremely interesting. And we have a lot of people who are investors that listen too, so you can find out he can help you. And I think because you do it yourself, and that you don't want anything to happen to you, you want to make sure that that doesn't happen to anybody else. Go ahead.
And the best part about it, you need the knowledge, but you can get it. It's not like I'm selling you a $2,000 program.
480-600-3584.
We got it.